Hello, everybody. My name is Brisa Del Mar, and this is Women to Women. I'm super excited to have this woman with us. She's from Los Angeles, California. She's bold, authentic, and apologetic, and she's passionate about intersectional feminist. She's a life coach and looking to inspire and provide resources and practical tips to the people that she works with. Her happy place is a drag show in the West Hollywood. That's right. International recognized life coach, business mentor, and one of the things that I love the most, she works with millennial women. That's right. She coaches ambitious women in their 20s and in their 30s. So let's just welcome Mira. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Brisa. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm American, and I was a military kid. I moved all over the country growing up. And just a fun fact, my name came from my dad, who was an astronomer, and he's really into the stars, and he named me after a star in the constellation Cetus.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. I was looking into, the work that you've been doing, and I got a lot of my attention that you work with the specific ages of women, which I think is fucking amazing.
Thank you.
Yes, I believe that's what we need to put in our energy, our support, and our resources for the new generation. So, and you talk very specific. So, what is an ambitious woman?
An ambitious woman is someone who does not settle for the status quo. She's a woman who has a big vision for her life. She wants to do good and give back and be abundant and make her own rules. She's someone who's willing to do whatever it takes to get where she wants to go in life and hopefully bring along a bunch of people with her.
Beautiful. So how did it happen that you became inspired to work with these kind of women?
So I spent about 10 years of my 20s, most of my 20s, trying to find my own passion, trying to figure out what it was that I'm meant to do and how I'm meant to serve in the world. And I was good at a lot of things, but I couldn't figure out which one of those things would be the thing, the thing that I really wanted to do. And through my own journey from corporate America to entrepreneurship and all of the messiness in between, I found myself and I did a lot of work on myself. And through that, I finally realized that the business I'm meant to create is to give back to others and to be a supporter and a coach. So life coaching is really ultimately what I found was my path. And when I was developing my marketing strategy, I realized that I felt most passionate about giving back to the women that struggled the same way that I struggled to find my passion. So I'm working with women in their 20s and 30s. 25 to 35 is actually the sweet spot where most of my clients find me. And I call it the quarter life crisis. I call it, this period of upheaval where we're trying to figure out who we are and what we want in the world. We're kind of stepping into our adulthood and owning our power and building our confidence. And a lot of my clients are following in my footsteps, wanting to launch their own business. So that ends up being the three things that we do together. I help them find their passion, I help them work on their confidence, and I help them launch their first business.
That's really amazing and means to you. What does that mean to you? Everybody has different definition, and I want to know yours.
I know, it's a very hard one to explain.
It is. Yes.
So intersectional feminism was coined by a woman named Kimberly Crenshaw, for anyone who wants to go research this and understand where it came from. And it was designed to understand intersecting identities in relation to feminism and social justice. So women are not a monolith, especially when we're talking about feminism. There is no one type of woman. There are so many types of women, depending on your age, race, ethnicity, nationality, depending on your sexuality or your gender presentation, depending on your physical abilities. There's so many things, I probably missed a few, but all of those things factor into how you're treated in the world and the types of privileges or disadvantages that you experience. So when we talk about fighting for women's equality, we also need to incorporate disabled women. We need to think about the specific challenges of women of color, or the specific challenges of queer women, or the specific challenges of trans folks or sex workers. Like, there's a lot of populations that have historically been marginalized, even from the feminist movement, and the feminist movement has been about what middle class straight white women think that they need, and it's not fair to everyone else who also needs representation. So My understanding of intersectionality is that we look at everyone's identities and we include everyone, and we amplify the voices of those who have historically not been included in the feminist movement.
Now that you're talking about only white women, so you're white.
I am.
How are you taking personal responsibility to support this that you just shared?
As a white woman, it is my job to talk to other white women. It is my job to get other women on board with the movement, because I have the most influence with folks that share my experience. What I've noticed is that, Black women, specifically Indigenous women, women of color, have been trying to get this message across forever, but for some reason it's not coming through to white women, and white women are able to stay in our bubble of privilege. So it's my job to reach out to other white women and to have those conversations. And I really believe those conversations have to happen one-on-one, or maybe in small groups, but they can't happen on Facebook. It's really hard to have these conversations without the nuance and the relationship. So interestingly, a lot of my clients are women of color or women of different identities along the interspectrum. However, I have a lot of white women in my influence as well. So I've built a really big platform on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And I know that folks follow me because they like to learn from me in that way. So I will do some educating in a broadcasty sort of way through social media. And I can only do so much from that point. So we'll also point white women to resources where they can do more learning. So there are a lot of online courses that you can take to dig deeper. One of the ones I like the most is Everyday Feminism. Everyday Feminism has a lot of really powerful courses that anyone can take to expand their awareness around these subjects.
How do you partner with men as a feminist?
That's a good question. That is a really good question. I feel that every community needs its allies. So I think of it from my own lens as a queer woman. I don't believe that in the United States that gay marriage could have become a reality. LGBT marriage, marriage equality, I hate calling it gay marriage, but that our equality couldn't have advanced as far as it has without the support of straight people who love us and support us. And nurturing those relationships and investing in those relationships and being willing to educate. It's not our job to educate people who don't share our identities, but when we have the bandwidth to do it, it really does help to push the whole movement forward. So when I think about partnering with men, I think about finding the men that are asking genuine questions and they truly want to understand. And there's a lot of places that a man could go to Google and do his own research. He doesn't have to ask his female friends for that emotional labor. But when a woman is willing to educate, I think that just that one-on-one conversation, that personal connection, that trust that's built between two people, having them trying to frame it in a way that they can understand, because people with privilege are usually very oblivious to their privilege. They don't know what they don't know. So to partner with men means encouraging those men to go talk to other men. So when a man, like when a man sees someone catcalling on the street, it's his job to say, "Hey man, that's not cool. Don't do that." Yeah. Just like it's a white person's responsibility to check the other white people when they're out of line. So it's educating that you can be in an environment where you have trust already built with someone. The relationship can endure some tension. So I may hurt your feelings, but your feelings will recover if we have a strong relationship. And you'll see that the reason I said the thing that I said wasn't to upset you, but to help you see it from a new perspective. And I think it's also important to know when someone's limit has been reached and you just need to put a pause on it and come back to that conversation later, take a time out. Historically, white people don't have a lot of resilience in conversations around race because we haven't had to question those things very much in our lives. If you ask a white person, what does it mean to be white? It's very hard for us to answer that question because we are seen as the default in at least American society. We don't really know what it means. But if you ask a person of color what whiteness is, they can give you a long list of answers because they observe it. I'll try to stop speaking out from other people's point of view on this, but yeah, there's so much to say on this subject.
Robert, what is it?
Ambitionista.org is a website and a platform that I'm building to bring together ambitious women in their 20s and 30s who resonate with my message. You have to kind of understand intersectionality or care about diversity and inclusion, be interested in the perspectives of other women, and not come from a judgmental place. So if you're an open-minded, ambitious woman, you're likely going to fit really well with my community. It started as a hashtag on Twitter, actually. And I saw someone who just randomly typed hashtag ambitionista on Twitter one day. And I was like, oh, that's really good. And I was in the phase of my business where I was branding and I was trying to come up with the thing. I wanted to have something people would know me for. And I searched that hashtag and I looked around on Google and I was like, no one's using it for a business. They're just kind of randomly, how you just make up hashtags sometimes for the fun of it. Someone just made it up for the fun of it. And I said, well, I think I'm going to run with that. So I trademarked it. I started a Twitter chat, which is a live event on Twitter now every Monday night at 5 p.m. Pacific. And that's just a really cool discussion group. That blossomed into a Facebook group, which blossomed into an Instagram account, which is now also a podcast. And so it's just become this resource and this platform for ambitious, open-minded women to connect and support each other as they're following their ambitions and their dreams.
That's really amazing. How long has it been running?
6 or 7 years, a little while.
Like how these women reach out to you besides our social media or website?
Let's see. Most of them are finding me on social media. I own another domain, lifecoachlosangeles.com. So on a local level, people find me because of the search engines. I'm also really involved in a local networking group called Quilt, Quilt. And Quilt is actually expanding nationwide, and I think they have a vision to be a global organization where women get to know each other in small groups of 8 or less in someone's living room. So the members host the gatherings in their homes. And as an introvert, it's such a wonderful way to get to know people. It feels like it's way less pressure when it's a small group, and it's a facilitated discussion. So a lot of referrals are coming through my networking efforts in organizations like Quilt, or going out to sort of any girl power fueled event locally.
Nice. So what is what you love the most about Ambitionista?
I love getting to watch women's lives unfold over a course of years. Now that it's been 6 or 7 years since I started it, I've watched women launch businesses. I've watched them get married and have babies. I've watched them form mastermind groups and collaborate with each other. I've had some of them step up into leadership roles and work as my assistant or help to moderate the Facebook group. So it's really what's unique about the way women work together is that we are collaborative and we work best when we lift each other up. So just being a part of seeing women's lives blossom and bloom, and those days where I get an unsolicited testimonial in my inbox, or where someone says, I've been watching you for a whole year and I think you're the person that's meant to coach me. I would love to set up a session, just to know that I've created a place where they feel like they can safely be themselves. And when the time is right, if they need that one-on-one support, that I'm here for them.
What happened in your mind and your heart when somebody just came to you very vulnerable and say, I've been seeing you for a year and I know you're the person?
Yeah, it really brings everything full circle. My life has taken me through some very dark places, and I've been suicidally depressed. I've worked in the sex industry as a stripper and a dominatrix. I've done some really interesting things with my life, and not to judge either of those experiences or any of the other things that I've been through. I've just been through the depths of my experience and lived to tell about it, done so much work on myself. So to see that work has paid off and that I'm now in a position to give back is so fulfilling, is so validating, and it makes me feel really good to know that I can help someone get unstuck from where they are, or move forward from a place that just doesn't seem right for them. I'll give you an example. I have a woman in my coaching practice who has left a religious cult. She was raised in a religious cult, and she reached out to me after following me for a year and said, I'm ready to take this journey, and I'd really love to have a mentor and a support system to build up my confidence and rebuild my life, because my whole support system is completely gone now. As you may know, when you leave a cult, you lose everything. Mm-hmm. And so she has a therapist as well, which I highly recommend. I don't think coaching is necessarily the only tool to change your life. So she has a therapist and a coach at the same time. And it's just so cool to get to see her open up to the world that she may have been slightly cut off from. And that's just one example. I have clients doing so many different things with their lives, but those moments, I just feel so honored to get to work with someone who's making that kind of a change in her life.
That's really amazing. And I want to celebrate you for what I hear, everything that you've been through. And I think it's part of what you say, is experiences of life that make us who we are. Yeah. And like how today, what we're doing today, what we're creating for tomorrow. And that's so beautiful. So I totally celebrate you, woman. This is really awesome.
Thank you.
What is going to be happening in 5 years? What do you see?
Such a good question, because that's what I do for everyone else, is I help them create their 1 year or their 5-year plan. What I've learned about my life is that I can set intentions, and I also remain open to the fact that the universe or God or source may have some other plan that's even better than I could have imagined. Right now, I know that there'll be a book. I'll probably be writing a book with the title Ambitionista, because it doesn't exist and it should exist. Yeah, I'm also thinking that ambitionista.org, it's a simple website right now. I can imagine that being a contributor blog where women all over the world could write blog posts that all contribute to the platform. So I could get all these different perspectives and personalities contributing. And I think that would make a positive impact in the world. I also have been nudged from many of my friends to start hosting retreats, and I've never done that. So I'm marinating on the idea that there could be an international retreat available as a part of the program. Although Los Angeles is kind of a destination, so I may not actually have to have it elsewhere. I could have it here, and people may fly in from all over to be here.
Whoa! Everybody's listening to that. Get ready, because you never know what's going to be happening. That is so amazing. So, quick question to you. So you are, part of the community, right? LGBTQ community. The women that you serve is only for the LGBTQ community, or is every woman?
It's any woman who vibes with me and would want to work with me. I don't discriminate based on sexuality or gender identity. I mean, I prefer to work with women, so I find that that's just really my niche. If you're non-binary, or you're maybe the world sees you as masculine, but you are feminine on the inside and you're working through that, I can work with you.
That's awesome. So tell me, you identify yourself as a lesbian. So what are you doing as a lesbian to own your own presence inside and outside our community, and like be more visible in our society? And how are you doing that, and why that matters to you?
That's a great question. So lately I've started to get more involved in the local community, and it's so interesting. As a queer woman, sometimes I just want to be a regular, everyday part of society, and sometimes I want to stand out and wave my flag a little bit higher. And I go through these phases where sometimes I just want to live my life, and other times I want to be an activist. So lately I've been getting involved in my local Democratic club, the Stonewall Democrats. So it's the LGBT segment of the Democratic Party. And it feels really good to take on leadership and share positions within that organization. I'm also really visible in the LGBT Chamber of Commerce locally. And first of all, I just want to say how lucky am I to live in a city that has those things. Some places just aren't that advanced, or the population is not dense enough for that to be possible. We show up on things like this. Thank you for inviting me so that I can be visible on a platform that is specifically for queer women. And I recently did a Google search for all the LGBTQ holidays around the calendar. So there's Lesbian Visibility Day, and National Coming Out Day, and Harvey Milk Day, and Non-Binary People's Day. So many like little mini awareness holidays. And so I've made a point to note those on my calendar, and then use my platform to talk about that when those things happen. So when Harvey Milk's birthday passes, or I don't know if it's his birthday or the anniversary of his death, but I always talk about Harvey Milk because a lot of people don't know who he was and why he mattered. Or with National Coming Out Day, I usually tell a story about what it's like to be me, because the allies in my life, the straight people in my life that mean well and want to understand, maybe don't always want to like bother me to ask, but they really appreciate when I tell my story. And so I encourage any queer person who has the bandwidth to do it, to tell your story, especially because we have these social media media platforms, you don't know how your story will change one person's mind and have a ripple effect in a whole community.
Yeah, that's super powerful. And yes, indeed. Totally. So that, I think this is perfect for you to share 3 different things that women can take action right now to start making those little shifts. I do believe that it's nothing big, it's nothing small. Yeah. What is the kind of 3 things that they can do right now and see that shift in themselves?
I believe that you change the most based on the people you spend your time with, the types of media that you consume, and the way that you take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. So if you could start right now by eliminating toxic people from your life and actively bringing in more supportive and encouraging and inspiring people in your life, make friends with people who you want to be like, people that you really admire. Make friends with those people. Number 2, get rid of any media that you're consuming that causes you stress or you feel like it's just cluttering your mind, and start to pick up personal development books and start to spend even just a couple minutes before bed every night reading something that is meant to help you grow. Lately, my subject has been about money, learning about money and learning about abundance. And I'm reading a book called You Are a Badass at Making Money. It's been life-changing. Yeah. It's really great. So every night before bed, just a couple of minutes before I fall asleep, it's getting my brain moving in a more positive direction. And then the last one is how you take care of yourself. Make sure that you're, feeding and watering yourself like you would a plant. We need sunlight, we need food, we need water. Of course, do that basic self-care, but also giving some special attention to your spiritual life, to your core, to who you really are on the inside. And if that just means that you take a mindful walk every day, just a couple of minutes without your cell phone, without distractions, and you just notice all the little things around you as you're walking, or if that means that you spend just a couple of minutes with a guided meditation, you can find them all over the podcast market, to just dip down and be present and appreciate the right now. It'll take away a lot of the depression and anxiety and intensity that you may, and the busy mind that you may be experiencing that's blocking you from your truth.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. So any day, it's good just to start today. And I'm going to have a specific question for you.
Name your funniest memory, and then I can't read the rest, this year. My funniest memory this year. Oh, man. That's an on-the-spot question. Funniest memory. Okay, so as you stated early in the broadcast, my happy place is at a drag show in West Hollywood. Just the other night, so it's my birthday week, but it's my birthday month, and I like to celebrate big for my birthday. I always kick off my birthday month by going to a drag show with all my friends that like to also go to shows. And RuPaul's Drag Race Season 11 is currently on. And the 2 queens that have the biggest personalities on this episode were also on stage that night. So they were hosting the show while, on commercial breaks, they would cut up and be ridiculous. And then the show would come on and we were all watching that episode of season 11. And I can't even tell you what the joke was, but they were just killing us. They were so funny, so ridiculous, such big personalities. And what I love about drag is that it makes fun of life. It gets you to not think of life too seriously, and I'm a very serious person and everything has to have meaning for me. So if I can go be in an environment where everything is just kind of irreverent and silly and we're making fun of ourselves. Those 2 queens are Vanessa Mateo, Ms. Vanjie, and the other one is Silky Nutmeg Ganache. So if you're watching the show, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. I had the honor of being in the presence of both of them on stage at the same time. They're hilarious. Go look them up on Instagram and you'll see exactly what I mean.
This is awesome. I want to go right now and see them. So
you should.
I'm going to fly to California. Let's do this. So this is amazing. And I would love to close with an amazing dance because, joy, music, dance, funny memories, it's all together.
Oh, there we go. Oh my God, the best song ever. How did you know? Mira Jolie.
Thank you for being here.